Marketing That Works is the podcast for business owners who want to move their brand forward so that they can bring in more sales and clients. I'm Danielle Harris, and I'm bringing you what I know from more than 12 years of experience in traditional and online marketing. I have created marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes, from multi-million-dollar corporations to early-stage online businesses. Remember, some marketers chase fads. I believe in mastering the fundamentals. As we close out 2025, I wanted to do a quick review of some of the things that I tried and experimented with in my marketing. One of the core things that I always encourage my clients to do is to do a recap of all the things that they did. You would be so surprised by the things that you forgot that you tried, the things that actually ended up working, the things that you were just like, right, I did do that. I did go and experience that. And so taking some time at the end of the year, ideally you're doing this all the time, but particularly at the end of the year and as you're going to start planning for the next year, taking a look back and looking at the things that you tried, looking to see what worked, what didn't work, what things you neglected to do, and what are some of the things that you want to take into the new year. So, this episode right here, I'm going to do a little bit of that reflection here with you all. So, if you haven't already, go do the similar type of reflection for yourself. But for me, these are some of the highlights of what worked, what didn't work, and what I'm going to try more of in the new year. So, first, I want to start off with the things that I tried this year. So, there are actually a couple things. As I sat down and started to write out this list, the first thing that came to mind, I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't really try much of anything. And I know that that happens with so many people. You just kind of like go through the year and you don't even recognize and realize all the different things that you try to do. But one of the things towards the beginning of the year that I definitely tried was an offer called the Launch Hotline. So, if you're not familiar, if you're not remembering this, from around February to April of 2025, I went into more of a launch direction. So, I had an offer called the Launch Hotline, and this was really born out of the fact that I had a lot of clients that I worked with one on one who came to me because they were preparing for or in the middle of a launch, or they were just recovering after a launch and trying to see what they could do better for that. And so, because I had so many of these one on one clients coming to me for that, I was like, well, why don't I just offer something that is dedicated 100% to working with people who want to launch, whether it's a group program or they want to use launch style marketing in order to get more one on one clients. Now, this was a really good idea. I ran people through the program. They got results and they had clarity on several different things, but I stopped offering it for a few reasons. First, it just made sense that this would be something that I would work through and do with my long term clients. The launch hotline was run like an intensive, a 6 week period where you just be very focused on launch content and launch material. The reason why the concepts and things from the launch hotline work so well with my long-term one-on-one clients is that, we've worked together before. I know the state of their systems. I know their level of understanding of their audience, and I know that they have a really good grasp of what their people need to see. Because I know all of these things and I have this background, it's really easy for us to quickly put together a plan that I know that they have the systems, the capacity, and wherewithal to be able to put together. With that 6 week intensive, especially for people who are launching things for the very first time, it really reminded me why I also not only just do marketing, I also have like this background in leadership and life coaching. Because one of the things that became very clear to me is that if you don't believe in your coaching methods, if you don't fully believe that you're able to sell things, you aren't actually going to sell. So it doesn't matter if we have the best plan, the best strategy, the best messaging. If you're still very much in a doubting phase, if you don't believe that you can have the capacity to bring on all these more clients that you want to have, you're not going to move and take that fast action. So, what I ended up doing with the launch hotline is I just rolled it right back up into my signature one on one program, the blueprint. So, all of the materials and the things that I learned there, I just put it back into that area. And that's going to be so helpful for my one on one clients that I have on a long term basis, just because. like they are going to get so much more out of it, and that's why I have clients who come back to me time and time again specifically for launch content, is because once we have that relationship down, it becomes so fast and so easy for us to put things together. So that's one thing that I tried. I liked it. It was a really great experience, but I was just like, yeah, this is why I love working with my people long term. But I am so glad that I tried that, that I put that out there. And really, the content that I produced during that period, I have several podcast episodes and social media content that actually helped me to grow my audience just because I was really able to flex that muscle of this is what I'm able to do and this is how I'm able to help people inside. So it was a really cool experience, but an offer that I have retired and is really just kind of rolled into my signature one-on-one program. The second thing I tried in my business this year, specifically in my marketing, is a content series. Some of you may remember that I had my summer of experimentation, and this was a fun thing that I hadn't done before. I hadn't done a content series specifically like this before, and I hadn't done something that was specifically around sharing live case studies of things that I was working on and experimenting on. So that was something that I had never done before, and on a personal side, there were a lot of moving parts and things with this. So I didn't necessarily plan it out in advance. I just kind of had this idea and I just started kind of rolling and going with it, which I do encourage you to do, just to try and do things and not necessarily have everything planned out to a T. But with doing this type of content series, it gave me a lot of things to think about and to refine if I go forward. Mostly the systems that I use to be able to put out this type of content, especially when traveling, especially when, doing a lot of life things. It also gave me a lot of insight personally when I was experimenting on the types of content that tends to perform well for me. So this is definitely something that I'm going to do more of in the future, whether it's specifically this summer of experimentation. I think that I might bring that back. But I also think that some type of bingeable series, something that people can expect from me on a regular basis, is going to be something that I bring into 2026 so that people can know whether it's on, some type of like weekly basis or even just on a infrequent yet regular basis. People know that they can expect or see something that's kind of stable from me. I think that can build up my audience in a really great way. So I will be testing out and trying some of that into the new year. A third thing that I tried is speaking at in person events. Now, I've spoken at conferences before. I even hosted a conference last year. But this year, on behalf of my own business, I spoke at a conference that was in person. It was in North Carolina. It was a talk that I completely memorized. It was an hour-long talk that I gave, no notes, no slides, and it was just this very intimate community first, community forward event. It was a really great way for me to focus on how to keep people engaged, especially when you don't have slides or other visual aids to really help and assist with you. So it was really about me connecting and really showing that I know and I understand what it is that people are doing. So it was a really great experience. Just to shout out the organization, it was the Baddies with Business Retreat, which is run by Malaran Haj. Amazing, amazing community builder. She is all about making sure that she's providing resources for the people. So I just want to shout her out in her event. She has another one coming out, I believe it's in Colorado in June of 2026. So if you are looking for something and you're from the Colorado area or you're looking to travel, that's absolutely something you should definitely check out. Being in that environment, being at that conference in particular, it helped me to grow audience. It helped me to build connections and relationships. And speaking more at conferences, at events like this in person or even virtual is something I'm definitely looking forward to wanting to expand more into in 2026 and beyond. So, those were some of the things that I tried. And I want to shift into some of the things that worked. When I talk about things that worked, I'm talking about content that performed well for me, offers that were unexpected successes, and just things that I really picked up on that I want to double down and repeat going forward. One of the things that was an unexpected thing that worked for me in 2025 were momentum calls. If you're not familiar, my momentum calls are these 90-minute intensives that are dedicated to building up momentum, getting you back on track if you've been feeling stuck, if you feel like you need just a little extra help just to get you on your way and going and implementing things that you've been really sitting on and holding back from going after fully. Now, these momentum calls for, I want to say, the first 3 quarters of 2025, I didn't really promote at all. The only way that people found them is if they happen to hear like 2 podcast episodes over the entire year where I talked about them, or if they visited my website. Like, I was not actively posting about this on social media. I wasn't even overly talking about it here on this podcast, but I had so many people seek out that avenue to work with me. Now, these momentum calls, they are not at the same level of investment as my traditional one-on-one package. My package, the blueprint, my one-on-one coaching, I offer that at 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month intervals. So this 90-minute call for a lot of people that are like, I do like you, I do want to work with you. I don't know yet if I want to work with you on a longer term basis. So this was actually a really great way for people to be introduced with me, my style, how I coach them, how I guide them. And I had people come back actually a couple times because they were like, oh, I got so much done. I made so many decisions and I got action just done right away. So that has been like a low key thing that is actually really working, which is why I'm kind of promoting it a little bit more as a really cool introductory step. If you're like, I want to get started, I want to get going, I'm not sure yet, a great entry point for people working with me. So I love doing those calls. I actually have one scheduled for this upcoming week. And it's been a really great way, especially towards the end of this year, getting people signed up and getting into planning for 2026. Just a great way to do that. So I'm going to be promoting that a little bit more as it makes sense, just to get people to be introduced to me and how I work and how I operate. So that's one thing that worked. Now, the other thing that really worked for me, and it's always a little funny and it's like begrudging because on one hand, I know it works, and this is what I tell all of my clients to do all the time. And on the other hand, for me in person, I'm like, ugh, I gotta be that example of it. But personal experience content, it works for me. And I think that when I do show up and put out personal experience content, it works so well because I don't do it enough. So let me explain a little bit. This personal experience content, it's really content that relies not so much on my expertise and all the things that I know and all my tips, but my personal experience with going through a particular thing. So that's why some of the things in my summer experimentation worked so well was because I was sharing a first person point of view of this is me trying XYZ. This is me trying to post out more content. This is me trying to try a new style. This is me going through this. This is me struggling. This is me succeeding. That type of content I don't typically share that much of. And so when I do share it, people who are have some level of familiarity with me, they're just like, "Oh, I feel like I know you so much more. I need to do more of that." And that kind of ties into what I was talking about in a previous episode with the upcoming trends, the rise of the personal brand. That's going to be the way that people are going to connect with you in such a stronger way. And I'm seeing evidence and proof of that. The content that I'm studying from other creators, other businesses that are growing by leaps and bounds, that's what they're doing. So it worked for me, and I'm going to have to do more of that going forward. And then on a separate thing, which is related to that personal experience content, but a little bit different, what worked for me was anytime I showed any level of just like personality, quirkiness, anything like that. If I shared about me watching my K dramas, I always got people interacting, going back and forth, like, ah, you're watching this, you're watching that. You like Dynamite Kiss, you like Vincenzo, you like if you want a whole list of K dramas to watch, you can definitely message me because I will give you recommendations. But anytime I showed that, anytime I made like a funny reel about my podcast, or anytime I did anything that was just like, oh, look at Danielle showing up, I got engagement. People got to know me. I need to do that more. That's something I struggle with, but I'm going to do it more because whenever I did do it, it worked. So those are some of the things that worked for me. Now I want to get into some of the things that I neglected. Some of the things that I neglected were just things that had worked in the past for me that I just didn't do this year for whatever reason. And one of the things that I neglected was lead generation via workshops or free public facing offerings. Something that I was really good at, particularly in 2022, 2023, was that I was always doing and offering something where people could engage with me for free, whether it was a workshop, a challenge, whatever planning session. I did a lot of planning sessions in 2023 where we would like plan out what your marketing is going to look like. We did reflections. I did a lot of those, and that brought in a good audience for me. It got people to be able to see and interact with me. And I just did not really do that in 2025. I did one at the very beginning of the year, and that was it. There is really no good reason as to why I didn't do it. Um, but I absolutely neglected that. And that's something that going forward, I'm actually going to spend some time during this holiday break just kind of thinking through of what does that look like for me going forward to engage and put something together that is going to be actually meaningful, beneficial. I don't want it to just be like, ah, it's a lead gen thing. Like, if I'm going to do something, I actually want people to get a lot of value for it because I don't believe in just offering something for like, it's a one way, like it only benefits me. I don't believe in that. So I want to make sure that if I'm doing something, there's going to be a lot that people are going to get out of that. So that's something I'm going to be thinking a lot more of how I can be intentional with that in 2026. The second thing that I neglected was email. I did not email nearly as much as I have in the past. And it's not that I completely stopped, it was mostly that I wasn't on top of my scheduling and systems the way that I needed to be. And so the thing that fell off was email. Now, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to go back to emailing like all the time. I'm going to have to see like what that cadence really looks like for me going forward and what makes the most sense. But that is something that I definitely neglected this year, and something that I definitely want to work on. And then the last thing that I definitely neglected, and something that I'm working on actively right now, is working in advance. Now, I have a whole podcast idea coming to mind as far as like what I'm going to do and talk about as far as working in advance, but putting together systems in place where my content, where I have time to ideate, where I have time to really like think through and marinate of like what the overall plan is, I didn't allow myself space for any of that. And I was just kind of like in emotion and going and kind of thinking and creating on the fly, which I'm good at. I can do that on a regular basis. But that's not going to get me to where it is that I want to go in the future. I neglected putting together my scheduling, putting together systems so that I can not only be on top of things, but be in advance and be ahead and have more space to breathe and experiment and do more things. So, those are the three things that I neglected: the workshops and the public events, my emails, and my working in advance. Definitely things that I neglected. Definitely things that I need to put back in because when I was on top of those things, they worked. And so that's the lesson for you all. What are some things that for you that you knew worked in the past, but you just stopped doing? Go back and figure out what those things are so that you can start including them back into your mix of things. So I've gone over the things that I've tried. I've gone over the things that worked, talked about the things that I had neglected. The last thing that I want to talk about are the things that I'm trying in 2026. I've been talking to people a little bit about this, but one of the things that I'm really focusing on is studying content that's going to work in 2026. Something that I think we all realize and we all recognize is that the marketing landscape is always evolving and it is always changing. That being said, the basics and the fundamentals that I'm always preaching and teaching about, they never change, which is why I focus so much about making sure that people know them. But at the same time, with the landscape of marketing always evolving and always changing, what we need to know is what elements of the fundamentals are people really leaning towards and relying on in their content and in their marketing in this day and age. So, my job as a marketer is to make sure that I am always learning, studying, and on top of what are the things that are working right now versus, always relying on what worked in the past. And me studying content isn't just something that's going to be good for me and my own content, my own business, but it's also going to be good for my clients as well. Like all of the things that I'm going to learn and all the things that I gain from this, I'm passing it right back to the people that I work with because, no gatekeeping here. Like I want to make sure that everybody is winning. If I'm learning something that's going to really implement and really help people to move forward, I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it with my clients. I'm sharing that with my community because everybody needs to know. I want everybody to be winning, to be hitting their goals, to making sure that they're making everything that they want to have happen become a reality. So, one of the reasons why I'm studying that. And I'm just remembering that I always need to be a student. I think we always get stuck in this like, okay, I want to be the expert. I'm an expert. I'm an expert. Don't be too stuck in thinking that like I'm an expert, I know what I'm doing, that you then can't also be a student and learn something new or relearn something that you think that you already know. No one's too big to learn something new. So that's something that everybody can really apply and know for themselves. Like you want to be able to be good and to refine yourself within your craft, whether it's marketing like me, or if you're a leadership coach, or you are a virtual assistant, an event producer, whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you help people with, make sure that you're always dedicating time to sharpen your skills. That's actually something that I'm already doing. I'm learning from people who have already done some of this work. I'm comparing the things that they're teaching to the things that I'm seeing myself in content that's really working and really resonates with people. So I didn't just wait until like, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the new year. It's important, so I need to do it right now. The other thing that I'm implementing and focusing more energy on is creating better habits and systems. That's been a theme kind of throughout all of this is habits and systems and getting things together. Marketing, if nothing else, like it's just a lot of project management. And so having systems in place, having habits in place just makes marketing so much easier. It just does. Now, something that I believe I've said on this podcast before, and I know I've definitely said it on my Instagram account, but this year I said that I had really big goals, but my habits and my systems and my actions, they were not reflecting that whatsoever. And so the goals that I want to work towards are going to require me to act differently, think differently, operate at an entirely different level. And so when I decided that, no, this is a goal that is really important for me to hit these income goals, to create this level of sustainability, when I decided, no, this is important to me, this is something I want to have, I didn't decide to wait until the new year to kind of start fresh. I was like, no, this is important. This needs to happen and start changing right now. Like, this is something that I started doing in November of getting myself up and going so that I can have the habits in the system, so that I can have the type of business and life that I want to have. And the things that I started with were simple things like getting up earlier in the morning, earlier than I had been in the past. Like, earlier than I did when I had a 9 to 5, just because like I realized how important that is. The other thing I started to do was to be way more intentional with how I spend my time. But not only that, hold myself accountable. So like if I was easily distracted throughout the day, then I would say like, okay, Danielle, you need to remember, you need to break your phone, you need to tap your phone so that you are not able to go into all the apps that you typically go to when you're scrolling or you're avoiding, right? Like that's one way of holding myself accountable. Holding myself accountable if I don't go to bed at a time that is really supportive for me. It wouldn't just be things of like, oh, okay, I'll try again the next day, like give myself grace. Like, yes, I give myself grace, but I also give myself accountability. One of the things that I do all the time is I check off on my habit tracker. Did I do the things that I said I was going to do? Yes or no? So I could see my progress of how well I'm holding myself to the standards that I say that I want to have. And then not only that, I'm sharing my progress and what it is I'm doing within my support system for additional accountability. Like I'm being honest. I'm not shaming myself for anything, but I'm looking to make sure that I'm holding myself to the standard that I say that I want to have. Like I said, I started this in November of 2025, and it is mid December at this point. I am already seeing the changes from these simple shifts that I have. I went from feeling like I was constantly behind, whether it's on my content, whether it's on client work, whether it's on whatever it is, always feeling behind, to now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh no, I'm on top of things. I'm a bit ahead on things. And it's my work right now to be able to hold that, like, yeah, just because I'm ahead doesn't mean that I could slow down. It means that, like, I'm in a space where I want to be at to then be ahead, a couple weeks ahead. And I can hold being in that position because that's what I wanted for so long, was to be ahead, to be very much on top of things. That's the position that I wanted to be in, and it did not take long. It just took me holding myself to the standard that I wanted to be at and being committed to keeping that. So that's something that I'm already working on, and I can already see that it's only been several weeks. I've made so much progress towards that, so I can only imagine if I'm holding on to this and expanding more, what I'm going to be able to do in 2026. So, those are the things that I'm really working on. As you are listening through this, I hope that you were taking something away, whether it's, okay, I need to do this exercise for myself to see what are the things that I really need to work on and focus on for 2026. What are the things that I tried? Give yourself some praise and credit for the things that you tried and did new, whether it's something that worked completely well or something you're just like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that again. Give yourself credit for trying something new. Go through, take a look at the things that you neglected to do and see how you can incorporate that back into your routine, into your habits. But I really want you to take some time to be reflective of this and see, like, okay, what is my end of the year stats? What is my end of the year review? What is it that I want to do? And how can I go forward in the way that's going to make myself proud and show that I am committed to hitting these goals that I say that I have? Definitely go back through, listen to that last chunk of those questions to ask yourself. And if you're thinking like, okay, I wish I had some type of guide or something that can help me like go through all of this, I do have a guide. I'm going to list that in the show notes. You can go through and download that for yourself and can go through this similar exercise that I have, where you can go through what your marketing is going to look like, reflect on the things that really worked for you, and start to put together a plan for 2026 that's going to take you to your goals and where you want to be. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.